Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our Tanya class. Tanya we are holding a chapter 5. So Daniel wanted chapter 5 so much. He's coming? Okay. In the last chapter, chapter 4, the Alter Rebbe discussed at length the awesomeness and the great quality of the powerful union that happens when the Jew learns Torah and fulfills mitzvahs. At the end of chapter 4, he said, he gave an example, a parable of a king that embraces a person, and the person embraces the king, a double, two ways. And it makes no difference whether the king is wearing one garment or 5 garments. The main thing is that the king is in them, and he's embracing you. So that's the power of a mitzvah, that when you do a mitzvah, even though it's a piece of physical matter that you're dealing with, but God is in that. Literally, God is in that. The essence of Hashem is in that. So he's wearing a covering. You're right. He's wearing a garment, a physical garment. It's very, very thick. But he's in the garment. So what difference does it make to you? Your main thing is that you're being embraced by the king and embracing the king. And the question is, why does the Alter Rebbe use this double, like I'm embracing the king and that the king is embracing me? One is enough, In chapter 5, he's going to elaborate on that. And he's going to also explain how the differentiation between the power of what happens when you do a mitzvah and how even more than that is accomplished when you learn Torah. Now, learning Torah we all know, it's for thousands of years already, the Jewish people are engaged in what's called limud Torah, to learn Torah. It's one of the most important things for every Jew. He learns in the morning, he can't wait to come home at night. He learns in the night, he has his times for learning Torah. Learning Torah has become the most important thing. It says in the morning, we say it in our prayer, the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, the learning of Torah weighs just like all the other mitzvahs together. And what is this? The power of limud Torah, of learning Torah, surpasses everything else, even the performance of mitzvahs. So chapter 5, the Alter Rebbe is going to discuss this. Want to get into it? Let's go. At the beginning of chapter, somewhere in chapter 4, the Alter Rebbe quoted, he said that les machshavet tfisa beikla. Les machshavet tfisa beikla. There's no thought that can apprehend or grasp Hashem at all, other than through learning Torah and fulfilling mitzvahs. You remember we learned that last time. Okay. So the Alter Rebbe is going to explain this statement even more. What does it mean? Nothing can grasp Hashem except for Torah. This word grasp. Let's read it. It's on page 17, chapter 5. Let us explain further and fully elucidate the expression tfisa, apprehension, grasp. In the words of Eliyahu, no thought can apprehend thee. No thought can grasp Hashem. No one can grasp Hashem. No thought can apprehend Hashem, other than through learning Torah and fulfilling mitzvahs. So what is this word tfisa? Now, when an intellect conceives and comprehends a concept with its intellectual faculties, when you are thinking about, when you are learning a topic, you conceive, comprehend a concept with your intellectual faculties. This intellect, your power of intellect, grasps the concept and encompasses it. Let's read a few more lines and I'll explain. This concept, is in turn grasped, enveloped, and enclosed within that intellect. which conceived and comprehended it. The mind, for its part, is also clothed in the concept at the time it comprehends and grasps it with the intellect. For example, when a person understands and comprehends fully and clearly any halacha law in the Mishnah or Gemara, his intellect grasps and encompasses it, and at the same time is enclosed in it. What's Spalter saying over here? What he's saying is as follows. When you learn something, you use your intellect to comprehend any intellectual idea. Whether it's astronomy, science, no matter what topic you learn, Torah, it makes no difference. What happens? The topic that you're learning, that you grasp, you understand it. You understand what you learned, That idea, that intellectual idea, is grasped and encompassed. Your mind encompasses that concept. The intellectual idea that your mind is now understanding. It's in your mind. The minute if you don't understand, let me know. When you learn something and you understand it, you're conceiving it, comprehending it, you're toiling in it, and you're dissecting it from every which way and understanding it fully, While you're doing this, what happens? Your mind is, the subject matter that you are learning is now, your mind is encompassing that thing. It's in your mind. The topic is in your mind right now being understood, and you have it. At the same time, while you're engaging and learning in this topic, your mind is also encompassed by that topic. Because where's your mind while you're involved in learning a major topic? Or any topic, not major, any topic. You're involved with it, you can't think about anything else, you're totally engrossed in it, right? You're totally engrossed in it, so that your mind is now fixed into that topic. You're totally focused and in that topic, right? Your brain, your intellectual capacity or intellectual faculty is enclosed by that topic. That topic has totally encompassed you. You're totally in it, trying to understand it properly, and that topic is also encompassed by your mind. You understand or not? Fully? You're grasping it, and it's grasping you. Why is it grasping you? Because your mind is fixed in that topic. I'm not talking about someone that, half asleep and he's thinking, he's not sure where he is. I'm talking about someone that is completely focused on the topic, 100%. He's involved. He is now, that topic is encompassing him fully. Your mind is completely involved in that thing. It can't be anywhere else, obviously, but it's fully engrossed in that topic. And that topic is fully encompassed by your mind. Your mind is now wrapped around it to try to understand it. Once it understands it, it's now fully engrossed and encompassed by your mind. Now, this is true of every wisdom. This is not just true of Torah.
Notwithstanding the depth of your understanding.
Very true. Whatever your capacity, that your intellectual capacity or intellectual faculty is enclosed in the topic, and the topic is encompassed by it. It's a double encompassing. Now, let's read this now again, what I just read from the second paragraph. Now, when an intellect conceives and comprehends a concept with its intellectual faculties, this intellect, your brain, your intellect, grasps the concept and encompasses it. It grasps it and encompasses it. It's totally grasped the concept. You understand it fully. It's in your mind properly. You have it in your mind. This concept is in turn grasped, so your mind encompasses it, and this is also grasped by your mind fully, right? We're still in the one-way grasp. The mind is grasping the topic, and the topic is grasped in the mind. Yeah. This concept is, in turn, grasped, enveloped, and enclosed within that intellect which conceived and comprehended it. Now, the mind for its part. So this is the mind, and this is the topic. So the mind is now encompassing the topic that it grasped. It's in the mind. Your mind has it within it, that knowledge. That concept is now fully in your mind. Now, the mind for its part is also clothed in the concept. Now this way, your mind is engrossed in that concept, is fully engaged in that concept. This is the concept, this is your mind. Your mind is fixed completely in this concept and is totally taken over by it. The mind for its part is also clothed in the concept at the time it comprehends and grasps it with the intellect. For example, when a person understands and comprehends fully and clearly any halacha law in the Mishnah or Gemara, his intellect grasps and encompasses it. Your intellect grasps and encompasses it, and at the same time is enclosed in it. You're fixed in it, and it's now grasped by you. Any questions? Consequently, as the particular halach is, this is true with every wisdom, by the way. You understand Freudian concept, Einsteinian philosophy, whatever it may be, any concept you're talking about, this is true. This union is true. But when it comes to Torah, this is the difference. Consequently, as a particular halacha is the wisdom and will of God. What's this halacha? It's Hashem's will and wisdom, right? For it was his will that when, for example, he's going to give an example, yeah? For it was his will that when, for example, Reuven pleads in one way, and Shimon in another, the verdict is as between them, shall be thus and thus. For example, I come to a court, to a rabbi, and I say, you owe me $1,000. I come to the rabbi with him, and I'm saying he owes me $1,000, and he says, I don't owe you a penny. So you look in the Talmud, and the Talmud discusses this. What should be the law? If he says that you don't owe me a penny, what he has to do is take an oath and swear to me that he doesn't owe me the money, and he's absolved. He doesn't have to, so it's my word against his. He took an oath, and that's it. What happens if he admits that he owes us me only $500? He admits to some, but not all. Same thing. He has to pay the $500 and take an oath. Okay? But the difference is that the oath, when you whatever, the halacha is not important, what the particular halacha is. There's a difference between those two. One is biblical, one is rabbinic, it doesn't make a difference. So that's the law, right? That law. When you learn that law, the law of the meida b'miktzah, someone that admits part of the claim. I say you owe me $1,000, and you say, no, Rabbi, I only owe you $500. The other $500 I never took from you. I already paid you, whatever it is. He admits to half, to part of the claim. The Torah says there should be an oath. The man has to take an oath. You admitted already. You're already involved. Okay, swear by the other half. Now, when you learn that halacha, the logic of it, the back and forth, and the reasons for it, and everything involved in that halacha. Right? That's what he's saying. Consequently, as the particular halacha is the wisdom of and the will of God. For it was his will that when, for example, Reuven pleads in one way and Shimon in another, the verdict as between them shall be thus and thus. And even even should such a litigation have never have occurred, it's a theoretical thing. It's not even never. In other words, it never came before Rabbi such a claim. But that's the will of Hashem. That if it does, that's what should be, right? Nor would it ever present itself before judgment in the connection with such disputes and claims. Whether it did happen, it won't happen, it doesn't make a difference. The halacha, this is the will of Hashem. That if theoretically something like this were to happen, this should be the verdict. Nevertheless, since it has been the will and wisdom of the Holy One, blessed be He, that in the event of a person pleading this way and another litigant pleading that way, the verdict shall be such and such. Now, therefore, when a person knows and comprehends, when you learn that halacha, that part of Torah, and you know it, and comprehend it with his intellect, such as the verdict in accordance with the law, such a verdict in accordance with the law, as it is set out in the Mishnah, Gemara, and the codes, the poskim. So when you learn that halacha, which is the will and the wisdom of Hashem, that logic was God's wisdom, that will, that the verdict should be in a certain way is the will of Hashem, right? He has this thus comprehended, grasped, and encompassed with his intellect the will and wisdom of the Holy One, blessed be He, whom no thought can grasp, nor his will and wisdom. No one can grasp, not him, not his will, not his wisdom, except when they are clothed in the laws, as when he encloses himself in the laws, he lowers himself and compresses himself in the laws, like we learned last week, right? That he lowered himself into the Torah as it's in our world, except when they are clothed in the laws that have been set out for us, then you could grasp him. So what happens when you grasp that halach? You're grasping him, because he and his wisdom are all one. So you're grasping Hashem in your brain. And you encompass Hashem in your brain, and your brain is encompassed by the topic, which means by Hashem, which He is the topic. Simultaneously, the intellect is also clothed in them, in the divine will and wisdom. So you grasp Hashem, and He's grasping you at the same time. Now, the Alter Rebbe says this is a wonderful union, like which there is none other. There's no other such union that exists in this world, and which has no parallel anywhere in the material world. Here, take a look. I'm grasping this, yeah? These keys. At the same time that I grasp these keys, could the keys grasp me? It can be only one way, right? Such a double way of I'm grasped by it, I encompass it, and it encompasses me, is only by intellectual. It's only in the brain that such a thing can happen. That the brain grasps a concept, and it's fixed in the concept, the concept grasps it. 1 second. This is a wonderful union like which there is no other, and which has no parallel anywhere in the material world, whereby complete oneness and unity from every side and angle could be attained. No, that's not full. It's not a full. You're not fully encompassed. You can't fully grasp, and it should fully grasp. That's not possible in the physical world. But when it comes to the seichel, when you learn something, you could grasp it 100%. Now, here's the big deal. You can argue, Alter Rebbe is giving me a half a chapter on this beautiful thing of learning Torah. That would be true with Einsteinian theories as well. When you understand the theory of relativity, for example, it's the same thing. You're grasping the theory in your brain, so the theory is in your brain, and it's grasping you because you're totally fixed in it, right? So that's true with every wisdom. Why is that unique to Torah? The difference is as follows. Einstein is where right now? Someone asks, where's Professor Einstein? What do you tell him? In the grave. He's dead. He's somewhere else. He's not here. His theory is in your brain, not him. He's somewhere else. He and his theory are two different things. So we're compartmentalized. We are not our ideas. They're important to us. They may reflect a certain aspect of us, but they're not us. Now, my philosophy and my theories and my wisdom is not me. But when it comes to, therefore, so what part of Einstein are you grasping? You're not grasping Einstein at all. You're grasping something he taught. True? But when it comes to Torah, what did we learn last week? Hashem and His Torah and His wisdom and His will are one and the same. This is Hashem. This halacha that you learned, that if someone says this and someone else claims I only owe you 500, and therefore you have to take an oath, that's not Hashem's ideas, Hashem's theories, Hashem's philosophy. That is Him. So it turns out that when you encompass that idea in your brain, and your brain is encompassed by that idea, where the union is with what? With Hashem Himself. In a way that doesn't exist. It's a unity in every which way. It's a total unity with Hashem. And that's unique by Torah. I want to elaborate on this a little bit. This is not true with mitzvahs. When you do mitzvahs, you're enveloped by Hashem. When you take off the mitzvah, when you take off the tefillin, by Torah it's even more than by mitzvahs. For two reasons. First of all, when you're doing a mitzvah, you're not encompassed by the mitzvah, and the mitzvah is encompassing you. That doesn't really happen as much as it happens by Torah. But it's more than that. When you take off the tefillin, then the unity is over, right? Till the next time you put on the tefillin. What happens when you finish learning the Torah? When you finish learning the topic, you went on to watch a football game or to do some other chore. It stays in your head. That topic never leaves you anymore. So it's not the same. Obviously, when you're learning it and engaged in it, it's more of a unity. It's you're fixed in it. We see when you're not learning it and you're not even thinking of it, so it's in your brain, it's still there. But you're not fixed in it at that moment because you're not involved with that. You think about something else. That's why the story of Torah is more than everything else. We're going to see that in a minute. But even when you stopped learning, even when you finished learning, that brain has now become a different brain. The brain will never be the same as it was before. It has this knowledge, and your knowledge is affected by your brain becomes affected. The way you think becomes affected by what you're learning. So when you start ingesting God into your brain or taking it in, and your brain encompasses God, it changes your brain. Your brain becomes a godly brain. The unity is constant. Maybe not fully like both sides, because when you're learning about something, you're talking about whatever you're talking about baseball or the weather, and you're not engaged in learning Torah, so it's only a one way at that point, because you're not fixed in the thing. The thing is in your brain. You're grasping it, but it's not grasping you, because you're not engaged in learning it at that moment. That double way is only when you're engaged in the subject matter when you're learning that. But even after you finish learning, your brain became one with Hashem. Your brain became a godly brain. That godliness is always going to be in your brain. And not only that, it changes the way we think eventually. Torah may affect us the way we think. So when God's in your brain is a different brain. It becomes one with Hashem, literally. Especially when you're actually learning Torah. This is why Jews couldn't wait to get to the book. They couldn't wait to take out the Gemara. They couldn't wait to take out the Maimer Chasidus. They couldn't wait to take out the books of Torah. Because they understood this, whether they understood it as we're learning it now, or even if they didn't fully comprehend this idea, but they knew, they understood that there was something about Torah that's different. It was the royal embrace with Hashem. So we have to understand what the power of learning Torah is. There's no unity like the unity of learning Torah. You are literally one with Hashem. And even after you finish learning, whereas after you finished a mitzvah, it's finished for that, you're now engaged in something else. And it's not in you after you finished it. Torah is still in you, never goes away. So it's two aspects here. Yeah. Who says you can't? You can learn Torah in Shemayim, but it's not the same as learning Torah on earth.
The reason I'm asking is because you can only really be one with Hashem here. And this was physically.
Yeah, because Hashem is in the Hashem became one with His Torah mainly as it's down there. The Torah as we learn it in heaven, in paradise, whenever, that's not the ultimate. That's not the essence of Hashem.
Oh, it is, yes.
It's not. In heaven, it's not.
It's the rays.
The ray.
Yes.
It's not the essence.
What's the other one? The rays versus the essence.
Yeah. What? Sure. The teacher is engrossed in what he's teaching, and the topic is in his mind as well.
Is the unity in the study or in the understanding?
It's a good question. It's mainly when you're studying it. When you're engaged in the time that you're engaged in the study, that's when this perfect double side unity is happening. When you're not studying it, very good question also. I want to address both of these questions. When you're not understanding, as I said before, so the mind, the concept is still in you, but you're not engaged in it because you're not busy with something else. As to your question was, if you don't understand the concept fully, is there a part that you understand? That part is grasped fully. So obviously, every topic you can understand it better and better and better. Every time you get back to it, you understand it better. But what the part that you understand, and that's a full engagement and a full unity. That's Hashem. So when you got it, so the moment you actually fully understand it and you were engaged at that moment, that's obviously the highest level of the unity. Why? Because you grasp Hashem now fully. That part, you have Him real. You have, before you had it, you didn't really have it.
I don't want to take this in a technical direction because it's going to disrupt what I'm saying. You're the subject-object kind of thing here, where I'm the learner. Here is the concept. This is God in the concept. And
the concept is God.
Right. God, concept.
He
God
is His wisdom. He's one with He's one.
So that duality falls away at some point. One in the act of study or learning, and then a more refined or more complete unity is achieved when a truly deep understanding, whatever that is.
No, I didn't. No, I'm not saying that. No, deep. It's not. In other words, she asked that question. If you now understand one level of it, you have it 100%. That part that you have is 100%. Tomorrow you'll understand a deeper level.
It's just as profound.
Yeah.
Unity.
That unity is
Though
just as profound. Because Hashem is, He's in every part of Torah. Now, on the right column on top, hence, the special superiority, infinitely great and wonderful, that is in the commandment of knowing the Torah and comprehending it. Over all the commandments involving action, and even those relating to speech, and even the commandment to study the Torah, which is fulfilled through speech. This, the mitzvah of understanding knowledge, the knowledge of Torah supersedes everything. All the action mitzvahs, all the mitzvahs that involve speech, and even the mitzvah of learning Torah through speech. There's a mitzvah to say the words of Torah with your mouth. That doesn't come to the profundity of understanding and knowing Torah. Because over there, the unity is is total and complete. More than when you even speak or without the full understanding. It's the engagement of the brain and the full understanding of it that really does it. That unity. Let's read this again. Hence the special superiority and infinitely great and wonderful that is in the commandment of knowing the Torah and comprehending it over all the commandments involving action and even those relating to speech and even the commandment to study the Torah, which is fulfilled through speech. For through all the commandments involving speech or action, the Holy One, blessed be He, clothes the soul and envelops it from head to foot with a divine light. You're engrossed, you're enveloped by the mitzvah, by Hashem, therefore. Where, however, with regard to the knowledge of Torah, apart from the fact that the intellect is clothed in divine wisdom, which is true with every mitzvah, you're enveloped by God, this divine wisdom is also contained in it, in your brain, in your intellect, to the extent that his intellect comprehends, grasps, and encompasses as much as it is able to do so, as much as it is able so to do of the knowledge of the Torah. Every man, according to his intellect, his knowledgeable capacity, and his comprehension imparted in the four areas of Torah. So that, by the way, answers your question, Laura. It's clear. So with all the mitzvahs involving action and speech, so one way encompassing. Hashem is enveloping you. When it comes to Torah, it's both ways. He's enveloping you and you're enveloping him. It's two ways. It's a complete and utter unity. It's the likes that we don't have any other parallel for it. That's for sure. Since in the case of knowledge of the Torah is clothed in the soul and intellect of a person and is absorbed in them, it is called bread and food of the soul. This is why the Torah is called the mozen, the lechem, it's called the bread and the food of the soul. For just as physical bread nourishes the body, as it is absorbed internally, in his very inner self, where it is transformed into blood and flesh of his flesh, whereby he lives and exists, so too it is with the knowledge of the Torah and its comprehension by the soul of the person who studies it well, with a concentration of his intellect until the Torah is absorbed by his intellect and is united with it and they become one. That's what I was saying before. Why is the Torah called bread? What happens to bread when you eat it? First of all, it goes inside and it becomes part of your flesh. The food becomes part of you. Comes literally one with you. Comes your flesh and blood. What happens to Torah that goes into you when you understand it well? It becomes part of your way of thinking. What is the neshama? The neshama is its perception and its feelings. What did we learn? The neshama itself is the 10 faculties, the 3 intellectual and the 7 emotional. It's basically intellect and emotion. So when you understand Torah, it's like bread and flesh. It's like bread and food. It goes into you and it becomes part. That's not a separate entity in your stomach. The bread becomes digested and then becomes one with it. The part that goes out, but the part that stays becomes your flesh and blood. It becomes you. That's exactly what happens with Torah. The Torah goes into you and it becomes one with the way that now you start thinking like that. When intellect changes how you perceive. So you took in godly intellect, that became how you perceive, that became how you think, that became you. That's your soul. Your soul is intellect and emotion. So at least the intellect part of it is now influenced by the Torah, is changed by the Torah. It becomes flesh and blood of the soul. That's what happens. The intellect is you. What is you? What's your soul? Your perceptions and your feelings. So when you learn Torah and you understand godly concepts, it becomes it gets digested in your brain. What does digested mean? This is how it becomes one with you. In other words, this is how you begin to think. You begin to think like a Torah Jew. like a God. In other words, it's God now becomes one with you. Think about this. It's incredible. The Torah, that the stuff that's in your brain is God. God's in your brain, affecting the way your brain now thinks. And your brain, I mean your intellect. Your intellect is your soul. So God becomes one with your soul. You become one and the same. It becomes flesh and blood of the soul. It's like bread, it's like food. You understand? I want you to understand this is important. Why intellect is such an important thing. The intellect of Torah. What happens when a Jew learns? Take yourself. Think of yourself how you thought a year ago and how you think today. You become transformed. You begin to think differently. Your soul intellectualizes differently. You begin to process truths, things, everything through the lenses of what you now know. So that became you, how you think. That became your perception. Now, so God, that's God, is in your brain, and it became one with you. Your brain, your intellect became a godly intellect. Now, the more you learn, the more you're going to become that way. No, davening doesn't do that. Davening is more a feeling thing. Your heart becomes involved. Your heart is loving Hashem. It's not learning. Davening is not a learning experience. It's not meant to be a learning experience. That's called Avodah. That's the service of the heart.
If learning the Torah is even greater than the performance of
Mitzvahs.
why isn't there not greater emphasis put on learning on a daily basis?
Who says there isn't?
There is.
There is. There's a major emphasis on learning Torah.
Is learning the Mishnah also?
Sure. Learning this, everything is Torah.
But you pray 3 times a day on a schedule.
Yeah, and you learn,
You have holidays,
and
and you have Shabbat. And you have
we're told to learn every 3 minutes. Whether we do it or not, that's a different thing. But the Torah tells us that we should learn more than we should daven. If you could, obviously, if you could.
But to Daniel's point, if that's the case, and I ask this with all respect, why are there not classes here at the synagogue 6 days a week?
There is the 7 days a week. We have classes there every morning and every evening. I'm not joking.
Well, I'm here every evening.
We daven, so we learn between Mincha and Ma'ariv, but we have tonight, we have JLI, we have by day today. I gave a class. I give Sunday morning a class. I give besides the daily classes, which is after davening every morning for 15 minutes Mishnah.
And I apologize, that question was asked out of ignorance.
No, we learn. Listen. Let me. There's always more you can learn. There's always more that you can do, including myself. But I do emphasize, I do enjoy giving classes. I like that part of my job very, very much. So I try to give classes. But the real question is, why don't we have 200 people coming here a week learning? That's the good question. Well, we start with 10, and then I teach about 40 people a week. I'd say about 40 people with my classes come to my classes. I'd like to see it double. It'd be nice if it was 80. Everyone bring another person with you. And give them merit, another Jew to become one with Hashem. Literally, it's the words there are so powerful, so special. This unity with Hashem. This last point about the food, it becomes like food, it becomes digested in your soul. God becomes digested in your soul. Imagine that. Becomes one with you. The way you think is God. You think like God. A Yid thinks different than a Goy. Why is a Yid think? A Torah person that learns Torah thinks different than someone that doesn't learn Torah. Not only about the Torah that he's learning. He thinks different about everything. His marriage, he thinks about life. Everything changes for him. His perceptions change. And that's because Hashem became one with your mind through Torah. There's no, not when it comes to Torah, no. There are people that learn 15 hours a day Torah because of this. That's what they do. That's what they learn. It's always better to go to an in-person class, no question about that. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, there's a the facial connection, and then you can ask, of course, that's so definitely, yeah, it's better. There's no, those that can only watch Facebook Live, you're doing a great job. All right, let's go further. Let's read this again at the bottom of 19 in the right column on the bottom. Since in the case of knowledge of the Torah is clothed in the soul, and in the soul and intellect of a person, and is absorbed in them, it is called bread and food of the soul. But just as physical bread nourishes the body as it is absorbed internally in his very inner self, where it is transformed into blood and flesh of his flesh, whereby he lives and exists, that gives him life, so too is it with the knowledge of the Torah and its comprehension by the soul of the person who studies it well, with a concentration of his intellect, until the Torah is absorbed by his intellect and is united with it, and they become one. Because now he begins to think like the Torah. So even when he's not learning the subject anymore, but it's there and retained in your memory, and the next time you're going to think something, it's going to influence the way you think, that means you became one with the Torah. Thus, this becomes nourishment for the soul, and its inner life from the giver of life, the blessed Ein Sof, the infinite God, who is clothed in his wisdom and in his Torah, and are absorbed in it, the soul. Incredible. This is the meaning of the verse, thy Torah is within my inward parts. That's what it means. It's in my inward parts. It's in me. All right, let's stop over here and let's do a little summary. We'll continue here next week. The last two chapters, the last three chapters, 3, 4, and 5, the Alter Rebbe, let's begin with 2. In chapter 2, the Alter Rebbe introduced us to the godly soul. A yid has a second soul, the godly soul. And he explained where it comes from, it's how it comes to your body and that whole thing. Chapter 3 told us what is this soul? What is it made of? What is the anatomy of this soul? And he said that the soul has 10 faculties. And he divided the 10 faculties in 2 sections, 2 groupings. One is the 3 intellectual parts and the 7 emotions. So basically intellect and emotion. That's the soul. That is you. You are your soul. You are how you think and you are how you feel. That's you. Then they said in chapter 4 that we have that soul also has, in addition to the 10 faculties, which are the soul itself, at its disposal are 3 garments. What are the garments of the godly soul? In what does the godly soul how does the godly soul express itself? Through thought, speech, and action of Torah mitzvahs. That's its only interest. He has no interest in anything else. That's where he's going to, his love for Hashem is going to be expressed through the mitzvahs, and his intellect and his so it's going to, his comprehension, his will to comprehend Hashem is going to be manifest through the garment of thought, and speech and action. That's where the soul is expressing itself, through the thought. Those are the 3 garments of the soul, the 3 modes of expression that allow the soul to be expressed. His love is expressed through these 3 things. It does things for Hashem because it loves him. He speaks about Hashem because it loves him, which is, how do you speak about Hashem? You learn to, because it wants to be close to Hashem. It has a feeling and a want for Hashem. So the intellect and emotions are going to be expressed in these 3 garments. They're garments because they're not the person themselves. What you enclose yourself with, what you do is not necessarily you. What you think is not you, and what you say is not you. You can say things that don't make sense. You can say things that don't reflect you at all. And you can change them. You can say things that are opposite the way you feel. It's only a garment. But usually these garments express the soul. But then the Alter Rebbe went ahead and said that usually in the case of Torah and mitzvahs, the garments of the soul, it's opposite of any other garment. Usually a garment is secondary to the person that the subject that's enclosed in the garment. Like you and me, we're wearing clothing now, right? So what are you going to say? Your clothing are more important than you? No, of course not. The person who's enclosed in the garment is definitely the most superior of the two. The whole reason for the garment is to serve you. To hang in the closet is no chachma. There's no need for it. It's there to serve you, that you should dress in it. So obviously the person is the superior, the clothing is secondary. But when it comes to the soul and its garments of the thought, speech, and action of the 613 mitzvahs, it's the very opposite. The soul is secondary to the garment. The garment is infinitely greater than the soul itself. Why? Because the garments are what? The Torah mitzvahs. The Torah mitzvahs, the thought, speech, and act, the action and the words and the speaking and the thinking of Torah mitzvahs, right? Those are the garments of the soul. Those are Hashem. That is God Himself. The performance of mitzvah, every mitzvah and every word of Torah is God Himself. So you're enclothing yourself in God. So which is more important, the enclother or the clothing? Of course, in this case, the clothing is more important than the one in clothing, because we're talking about the clothing is God Himself. When you put on tefillin, you're enclosed in an action of tefillin, right? That your soul is enclothing itself in this action. This action is God. So the garments are much higher than the soul that's enclosed in them. Even though we said in chapter 2 that the soul is also a part of God. So what's the difference? So we explained last week. That's a very big difference. But the way these two things came down, the Torah came down like water comes down. It remains the same exact as the way it's up there. So there was no dilution. Whereas the soul is already diluted. It's already went through the evolution of the world. It was greatly affected. It's not the same. It took on its own identity already. You can't say it's God. The Torah is God. So which is higher, the soul or the Torah? Even though the Torah is only the garment. But in this case, it's much, much higher, infinitely higher than the soul itself. And then he said, and he gave this whole explanation of what Torah is. Torah Hashem is the Torah, even the physical Torah, the physical mitzvahs, the shofar and the matzah and the tefillin and the candles and whatever else mitzvah we have, sukkah and esrog, whatever it is. These seem like very, very thick garments of God, right? They're not God. You can say a lemma, an esrog is God. A shofar is God. So you're saying he's wearing a big, thick garment. You're right. The king is wearing a garment. What do you care? He's hugging you when you're doing it. You're enveloped in the king. He's wearing a thick garment. Okay, you're right. What difference does it make? The king is in it. He's hugging you. He's embracing you. You're enclosed in the king. In chapter 5, the Alter Rebbe said that Torah is infinitely greater than even mitzvahs, in a way. Because when it comes to Torah, you become literally one with Hashem. Forever. While it's going on, it's a unity that doesn't exist in any other way. It's a double side. You're in it, and that's in you. At the same time, it's a unity that there's no parallel to such a unity. And not only that, it becomes your flesh and blood. It's like food. The Torah becomes the food for the soul. It becomes digested by the soul. It becomes one with the soul. So Hashem became one with your soul. Why? Because with the intellect of the soul, we're talking about the Torah, the learning of Torah. Torah is, what is the soul? The soul is the intellect. Well, it's also emotion, but we're talking about the intellect now, right? What's the intellect? What did the intellect of the soul absorb? The knowledge of Torah. What is the knowledge of Torah? God Himself. He's not separate. It's different than any other wisdom that you're learning. Without any other wisdom, you're learning a person's wisdom. It's not the person. Over here, it's God's wisdom. God and His wisdom are all one. Therefore, you have God in your brain. And that brain is now absorbing the godliness and ingesting and digesting that godliness. It's changing the way it thinks. Its whole intellect is now influenced by by the Torah that it learned, by the wisdom of God, by God, in other words. So your intellect became a godly intellect. So it becomes one with Hashem. It grasps Hashem. That's what Eliyahu meant, that no thought can grasp Hashem other than through Torah. When you learn Torah, you're literally grasping Hashem. He's one with you. You got him in your head. You got him in your brain, in your intellect.
What of, since we're at the end here, what of God and his creations?
What? What's the question?
God, Torah is God.
I'm listening.
I'm trying to get at whether knowledge of an intuitive sense of God's unity with his creations. Is that
Say it again. What?
maybe this is a better question for the course that you're teaching next week, whenever. If one gains an intuitive sense of the unity of all things as God's creations, if God creates, do his creations become separate from God?
They're separate entities. We're going to learn in chapter 22 about this. Yeah. You can't compare it to the Torah. The Torah is one with Hashem. That is God. This chair is not God.
Are we learning Torah right here?
Sure, of course.
So in Gadol, before man learned, Adam and Eve learned the difference between good and evil, and they had knowledge of truth and what was true and what was false, but not necessarily what was good and what was bad. That was a differentiation they learned that one could argue is what is the true. I mean, being sent out of the garden, man is stuck with this differential notion of incorrect notion in any case of what is good and what is evil, or what is good and what is bad, or what is beautiful and what is ugly. And man made distinctions.
Everything, when you're outside of the Garden of Eden,
Outside the garden,
everything is
inside the
confused.
garden was either true.
There's a mixture of good and evil outside the garden.
That's a mitzvah.
It's a mixture of good and evil. And it becomes very difficult to decipher. We have to separate the good from the bad. That's what serving God is all about. To perfect and to elevate and to sort out the bad from the good. Because everything this table has good and bad in it. Why does it have good and bad in it? This could be used in a casino for bad things. This could be used in a shul for good things.
One could argue that the Torah is the means, the means of a human being's ability to discern between
It is.
good and evil.
The Torah gave us that knowledge, so that if God wouldn't tell us what's good and evil, how would we know? He gave us the Torah so that we know this. The Torah determines what's good and what's evil. But everything in this world is a mixture of good and evil. Everything could be used either for good or if it has potential for good, has a potential for evil. And it's our job to decipher and to separate and to sort out the good from the bad. That's what we call in the Kabbalistic vernacular, Avedis Abirudim, the work of sorting out. That's what 6,000 years of creation is all about. That when we finish this, that's when Mashiach comes. And we're almost finished. The previous Rebbe said that we're finished the Birudim. He gave the example. He said that all we have to do now is, he said that we sorted everything out already. We're pretty much done. The main things that have to be sorted out. So then why isn't Mashiach comes? He gave the metaphor of, when Mashiach, when a king is coming to visit the troops, yeah? So they wear their costumes, they wear their things, and their buttons, and everything is beautiful, right? He says, all we have to do, all this, so the soldiers cleaned up everything, and everything is perfect, right? They're ready for the king, right? But the general comes by and sees a little dust on the buttons of the soldiers' suits. So they just have to polish the buttons, and the king can walk in. They're ready, everything is ready, just polish the buttons. The previous Rebbe said, we're at that point where all we have to do is polish the buttons. And the Rebbe once spoke by Fabreng, and I remember this. He said, when you polish too much, you can rub it out. It's not good. When you polish something too much, it's also not good. So where's Mashiach? We keep polishing. We're going to ruin the button soon. So it's really high time for Mashiach to come. This is really it. There's no other thing that needs to be done. Why he's not here, who knows? I don't know why. It's a mystery. So we just have to finish up a few little things and get it done. But yeah, but to answer your question, the Torah is there to tell us. Torah determines what's good and evil. Yeah. But we're talking about the knowledge, understanding God's wisdom now. That's what this chapter is about. When you intellectualize and you grasp a concept of God, of godliness, of Torah, you grasp Hashem in your mind, and at the same time you're grasped by Him. It's a unity that is phenomenal. And that later it becomes blood and flesh of your soul. It becomes digested by your soul. The soul becomes one with that wisdom and one with Hashem, therefore. And it changes the way you perceive, and that's your soul becomes different. So yes, we have to learn much more in this Chabad house, in your own private lives, no question about it. You're challenging me. It's very good. You should. It's a good thing. So, that's good for today. We'll stop here, and we'll continue next week. Thank you very much, everyone. It's a few minutes. What advice to this week, this month, starts tonight. Adar is right now, starting now. We have 60 days of Adar this year instead of 30, because we have 2 Adars. It's a leap year. There's an extra month of Adar. The sages tell us that Adar is Simcha. When Adar comes, you got to be more joyous than even before. So it's a time. It says that joy breaks all barriers. When a person has joy, he breaks all barriers. Nothing can stop him. So when you're joyous, there's nothing that can get into your way. So there's no question that the month of Adar is a phenomenal month. It's also a month because in this month Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, and he was also born. He was born and passed away in the month of Adar. And it's the month of Purim, of course, which is a holiday, a great holiday of joy. So, what? Well, Purim is in 6 weeks because the first month, Pesach is coming up soon. So my advice to you is be happy this month. And when you're happy, everything, God likes happy people. God likes happy people. That's a great mitzvah, yeah. To make people happy is a great mitzvah. Yeah. By the way, on the 25th of this month of February, we're going to be having a big Shabbaton here. And we have a goal to get 150 people to come to the Shabbaton. I need all your help. Everyone should come to this. We have a guest speaker coming from Israel. He's a Professor Kantarovich. He's an expert in Israeli law and all kinds of things. He went to the UN. You ever heard of this guy? Yeah. He's going to be here in person. So yeah, he's a big deal. He's not a small-time guy. Professor Eugene Kantarovich, look him up. And he's going to be here. He's going to speak on Friday night by the dinner, and we're making Saturday night an event in the pergola, in the new gazebo that we just built. Beautiful. We'll dress it up. We'll have it, and we'll invite people to come for a Malava Malka, Kumzitz, musical accompaniment, and he's going to speak again. So this is going to be a very, very significant Shabbaton.
That's a big act you put there. I don't know how you get it.
I got him because
From
yeah,
Spalter.
it costs money. I mean, he's not cheap.
You
But
see the picture where he's sitting in the front? Okay, you know what it is? Like, hello.
No, I'm saying, I mean, you would think
It's kind of a
you'd,
big deal.
put up a really big crowd to get it.
we need to get 150 people here at least for that dinner. I really do want to make a committee. If I can rely on some of you to help us, it would be great. That one time at least, let's get all the Latins and all the Brazilians and everyone should come. Should make a big thing.
You'll send an email soon about it.
Yes, it's the designer is working on the thing now. By tomorrow night, latest Thursday, we should be ready to send it out. 2 weeks before is enough time, I think.
You're gonna love this.
He's great. Yeah,
You're really
yeah.
gonna love this.
He's really good. He's the two topics. So by the way, he sent me the topics: apartheid, evictions, and vaccinations. And I'm not even sure what he's talking. What this vaccination thing? It's not about the corona vaccination. I think it has some with the Arabs, the modern day blood libel, and
The truth cause corona.
oh, I don't know what it is. But that last thing, but I know the apartheid, the BDS, that whole thing. He explained. Then the second topic is what? I can't remember. Also something to do with Israel and the borders and international law. He's an expert, and he's just very entertaining and very, very knowledgeable. And he's been to the UN, to the Congress. He's been everywhere. He's a very big advocate for Israel. And I'm honored to have him here. He's going to speak. It's a Shabbat for Israel, I called it. That's the title of the Shabbaton. Shabbat for Israel. So we should get everyone to come. Israelis and everyone. Shabbat. Everyone have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next Tuesday night for more.